Right Honourable Rachel Reeves, is the very first female Chancellor of the Exchequer, and that has to be applauded, a breakthrough, a role that nobody has ever had before, a female that is, of course, and we're talking real females, do you know what I'm saying? But it's interesting because Rachel has had a very checkered career. If you remember, during the push to become that particular role, she said she had a fully costed plan and there were no surprises that were going to happen because she knew exactly how to rescue the British economy and all of that. The minute she got into power, she suddenly decided that that plan was a little bit, a failure, to be kind, not really fully thought out, you get the picture. What's interesting to note also about Rachel is this. Then she wrote a book and it turned out that, of course, she'd borrowed words, but she didn't remember borrowing them. No, it wasn't her fault, of course. She just borrowed them and that's what happened, things like that, And then suddenly she was blasted for that and the book went down the pan. But the biggest problem that she's now encountered is the fact that she scrapped the winter fuel allowance for the elderly over here across the United Kingdom. Meanwhile, herself, she charges £4,000 just for her own personal heating. And now she's got a brand new home, an 18th century grace and favour place called Dorney Wood, which would have normally gone to the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner. Not going well between those two, oh yes. But it gets even worse now because you see, while we're all going to be freezing during the winter, particularly if you're over 60, Rachel's got more pressing things on her mind. Doesn't care about the public freezing to death. No. She's sorting out the economy. Well, after this, you see, her office, she's decided, needs refreshing. And she doesn't like the fact that all the portraits in the office are all men. Right. So what she's actually going to be dealing with now is this. She's decided that she wants to replace all those old portraits and things like King James and stuff like that with female artists or female artists' work. So all of them are going out the door, but she's looking for people at positions of power and people that did a lot of good, particularly in the world of politics. The likes of Barbara Castle, I remember her. And of course Betty Boothroyd, another one who, a former Tiller girl, that became of course the Speaker of the House of Commons, so incredibly well. But you see, Rachel's decided that she's not necessarily going to be going down that route. Now when you think about the people who've done something in power, female, there is none bigger, is there not, than of course the late and brilliant Right Honourable Margaret Thatcher, the very first female British Prime Minister for 3 consecutive terms. Well, Rachel's not going to be putting that portrait back up. The one that Keir Starmer was so frightened of, he had to have it taken out of his office because he couldn't bear it, He just couldn't look, he felt so intimidated by it. No, Rachel's not going down that route. So as far as the sisterhood's concerned, as long as it's, kind of ubiquitous and nobody knows much about the artists and stuff like that, or they're very sort of, shall we say, right on, and woke, no doubt, then you'll make the cut. But as I say, these are the pressing matters that the current Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, decides are more important than whether you or I or the elderly will freeze to death this winter, simply by cutting out the winter fuel allowance. It's nice to see, as the very first female Chancellor of the Exchequer, she's certainly got her priorities right, as ever, for herself. But for how much longer? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.